Okay, everybody, hello.
Hello.
We've
Hello.
got some connection problems. First, Whitney is out and about on the rampage, and our connection is very weak. So we're going to remove her from the screen. She is still around monitoring and pushing buttons, but say bye-bye. I might bring her up so that you can prove that she's
Bye-bye.
still there.
Hi, Whitney.
And Devi will be on and off mute because she's having problems with her fan. She's too hot, and it sounds as though she's flying an
It's not,
aircraft.
the fan isn't even on anymore, so I don't know what it is. It's the old
Oh, it's
microphone.
gone. But your audio is really weak.
Well,
Okay. Anyway,
yeah.
so that just apologies, everybody. That's our technical issues at the minute. So, before we get into tonight's little talk, Devi, remind me, is this the second or the third one about the other side?
The second one.
The second, right. Okay. So a repeat of something that we keep shouting to everybody. Facebook changed their policies 2 months ago. We used to have mega library of videos that you could go and watch these debates, etc. Now, live streams, Facebook delete them after 30 days. So go and watch us on YouTube if you want to see any of the previous talks that we've got, because nice Google isn't deleting everything.
Yeah.
And you find us on @Scottish Medium. 2 words, Scottish Medium, no spaces, no dots. Basically relatively easy to find. Tonight's topic is our second about what Spirit have told us about the other side, what it's like when you get there. If you watched our last week's stream, you'll know that Devi and I have a difference of opinion. Not so much a difference of opinion, a difference of semantics. As in,
He calls it semantics, I call it opinion.
I call it semantics because she basically agrees with me. She just will never admit it.
No, that's not true. I don't agree with it. I don't believe you can go back and watch last week's, but I don't believe he thinks spirits have to work for a living on the other side.
That's not exactly what I mean. And we're going to get more into what I
We'll
mean.
get into that later. Go watch last week's.
Yeah, but pay more attention tonight because you'll understand. I think you'll see my point when we get through tonight. Right, other bits of news. So that's the big picture with Facebook. We have our new training format called Open Circles, which are twice a month. Our first one was very successful. Our second one is this Sunday. Basically, just go to our website, follow the links, and you will be able to register or put something into the comments and we'll register, or I will put the link into the text for the video once the live streaming is over, if you're watching this after the event. What else? I'm in the process of buying another business, so very soon, short term, I'm not going to disappear, but Debbie's going to be doing more and more work and I'm going to be more in the background. However, longer term, once we've got the new business, bigger economies of scale, there's going to be another 2 members of administration staff. So they're going to be employed working in the background, which means I'll have more time. So for about 3-4 months, I will be around, but not as much. Then I'll be around a lot more. And we might get the number of open circles up at that point. We'll see how we're going. That's about it. So tonight's topic is basically, is there a hierarchy on the other side? What I mean by that is, are some spirits, I'm going to call them people, are some people on the other side more important than others? Devi?
Important? No. Evolved? Yes.
Now, you see what I mean about semantics?
Important and evolved are 2 completely different words, meaning 2 completely different things.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then, Devi. If you were an athlete and you were, I'm not saying you're a superstar, but you're doing it seriously. You're out running every day.
I was an athlete, so I can, yeah.
Right. Okay. Oh no, actually, no. Let's make this more personal. When you were acting.
Okay.
Okay. So just give us a 30-second summary of your career as an actress or an actor.
Lordy. I did mostly theater, a little bit of film and TV, commercial, and then I got pregnant and quit. So.
Okay, and you did work with some serious actors, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I guess that's really
name drop.
Name drop. Well, I worked with Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise, Charles Nelson Riley, those kinds of people.
Right. Okay.
Ball run.
So, no offense to Devi, but if I saw a movie, if Devi suddenly went back into acting, and I was in the city where Devi was on stage doing the acting, and I know Burt Reynolds is long gone, but if there were two productions, or if she was working with Burt Reynolds, is it the name Devi? I mean, okay, I know Devi, so obviously it would be the name Devi that would attract me. So it's a bad example. But if I was Mr. Joe Blogs that had never met Devi in his entire life, maybe seen one of these videos, and I knew who Burt Reynolds was, which name do you think I would go and buy the ticket for? Which is the name that would attract me?
For Burt, but what does that have to do with anything?
Okay, so translate that into.
It doesn't mean he's a better actor than I am.
I didn't say that.
It just means that he's more well known.
He gets more money. He attracts the audience.
Because he's more well known, yeah.
The theatre production company will invest in, like, if he sees like if I write a play and nobody's ever heard of me, and nobody is seriously going to come along and say, oh, Mark, this is a wonderful play, we'll produce it for you. But if I get Burt Reynolds if I send the play to Burt Reynolds and he says, oh my God, I like this, and then I go to the theatre production company and say, I've got Burt Reynolds appearing as the star, they're going to line up to invest in that play. Now, I agree with you, that's because he's famous, but that is a form of importance. Another question.
Fame has nothing to do with importance.
How did he become famous then? What was it about Burt Reynolds that made him famous?
It's his charisma.
Right, and that's part of being an actor.
And he's a good actor too.
Yeah. Now, you don't get those skills don't come out of nowhere.
Right.
He had to take time. I mean, I don't know anything about Burt Reynolds. I'll be honest, if I saw him if I saw him in a movie, I probably wouldn't, my dyslexia, I probably wouldn't even recognize it was Burt Reynolds. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, and I don't know anything about his history, but let's just assume that he went to acting school. Let's assume that he had a mentor that taught him. Let's assume that he did acting job after acting job after acting job after acting job to figure out, to learn, to develop his skills.
And I have done the exact same thing.
But he was better.
He did do all of that, yes. He did.
Yeah, but
I have done the exact same thing.
Yeah, agreed. But he was better at it than you. He was more successful at it than you. Let's put it that way.
No, I quit before I was able to get successful. I was still paying my dues, and then I had
okay, but that's still part of that. That's still part of what I'm talking about. You made a decision to have a family,
right?
Whether it was by accident, no offense to
I made that decision, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but you made a career change. You went away and became a mother. He didn't. He continued on. He did his dues. He built himself up. He got an agent. Now, again, it's not just doing your time. You've got to develop the business skills. You've got to.
I had an agent. I mean, I think you're not thinking I was as far ahead as I was, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what any of this has to do with anything.
I'm trying to get to the point. Let me finish the example. Okay, let's take Devi out, and let's just take Mr. Amateur Actor who's done the school, is working as a waiter. I mean, how many go to Los Angeles? How many waiters are would-be actors?
And I'm not saying of people that are would-be singers and songwriters in Nashville. Pretty much everybody. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Let's turn it on its head. Go to Facebook. Go to a spiritualist group. How many would-be mediums are sitting in those circles that are absolute, utter, I'm going to use my words careful here, and I'm not going to say bad, I'm just going to say amateurs, because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to develop the skills. They don't know how to organize themselves in terms of business. Now, this is not an advert for us, but as a business, we have a marketing agency that we describe as the only one in the world for readers. You and I are both professional mediums. You do more private work. I do more stage work. We did our little tour in America last year. I did the same in China last year. So I worked in 4 countries. How many mediums out there actually got on a plane, went to a foreign country and worked as a medium? How many mediums out there do their dues and work in spiritualist churches as I did. I worked in 2 spiritualist churches when I was doing the little tour. Now, I'm not saying that to sound egotistical. I'm saying that to say I did a lot of work to develop the skills, to get myself properly trained, to build up the business. Well, we both do. We both work extremely hard to build up the business side. We're sitting here on a Tuesday night doing a streamed event. Why? Because we're trying to get messages out there, to get people to come to our training. We're trying to make contact with people. For example, again, I'm not trying to sound egotistical, so I'm trying to keep it low. But last year, when I contacted people to say, after 4 years of not being anywhere near the States, I'm coming back, a radio station approached me. Mark, you're coming back to America. Can we interview you? So again, we put the time and the effort in, and we got benefits like that. But what I'm trying to say is, work is the wrong word. I agree with you. But work in terms of effort, in terms of time, in terms of self-management, in terms of discipline, you get rewarded for it. We get people coming to our training who say, I saw Mark working. We get people.
Okay. Who is it then that does the rewarding?
The economy.
The economy?
Yes.
We're talking in the afterlife.
Uh-huh. And there's an economy there.
Oh, that's right. He thinks there's money.
No. Economics 101. A barter system is an economy.
A barter system. Okay.
As your president agrees with me. And I'm not a Trumpist. I am not in any way defending Mr. President Trump. And I'm probably not going to get my American visa because I just said that.
I'm not sure he's watching this, but go ahead.
Oh, you never know. Somebody's going to send him the link now that he's mentioned. And remember, he is Scottish, so the Scottish medium.
Right. Anyway. Then I'm in trouble too. So, yeah. I'm here.
Everybody hears the word economics and they think, oh, money and cash and all the rest of it. Communism is an economy. The British economy, for example, is what's called a mixed economy. Now, yes, we've got capitalism, and yes, we've got communism, we've got socialist. For example, in my entire life, have never had to pay for hospital treatment because we have a communist. It's almost a communist
system. Socialist, not communist.
Yeah, okay, socialist.
Socialist.
Yeah, we have a social. I mean, we've got a socialist government just now. Who is defending us against the American aggressor, but never mind, that's another story.
As they well should.
Yeah, but the point is, when I say economy, I don't know whether there's a currency. I don't know if it might just be merit points. You do your work, you do your training, your merit points build up like that. How do you describe the rewards that you get? I don't know.
Who decides you get merit points and how many you need to move to the next level?
I don't know. That's too detailed a question. No spirit has ever told me. But what I can tell you is there are different levels of spirit. Now, again, how you define that is semantics.
As you evolve, you go to.
Yeah.
I agree with that piece.
Yeah. So there are spirits way up here that are mega powerful, and I know that because I've met one of them before. I mean, I'm not going to go into details, but you know what I'm talking about, Devi. We are in complete agreement. You have seen me. I mean, okay, let me turn it on its head. And again, I'm not trying to sound egotistical, but you have seen the kind of readings that I can do. Mm-hmm. Now, I do teach people how to do those readings, but even the people I teach, when I have to step in and do, like, you've seen readings going that students have been doing that for whatever reason, the student's still learning, and you've seen me step in and take over the reading and take over the spirit for the reading. That most people couldn't do that. But I can do that because my guide enables me to do that. I can go on a stage and I can do 60 readings in a row, 3-4 minutes. I teach people how to do that. And if they're lucky, they might get up to 15 or 20. There's only one other medium I've never seen her work, but there's only one other medium I know of that can do what I can do in terms of the style of reading. Egotistical down. How am I able to do that? Because my guide enables me to do it. If I lost my guide, I would lose the abilities to do that. I know that for a fact. So please, Mr. Guide, don't abandon me.
Only when his head gets too big, then you can go ahead and do that. Yeah.
But bringing it back to the original question, there are other guides that are not that strong. And guides change. I mean, when I first got that guide, the first day that I got him, I was in a church. It wasn't the first time I'd worked on a church platform. But he said to me, there was about 30 people in the congregation. I didn't even realize what I was doing. He just said to me, start. I mean, you have to understand it was 30 people in a row. And it's a really weird building they were in, like very long and narrow. They couldn't get any depth. I literally just started at one end of the row and I worked my way one by one right along. And then at the end of it, the chair, the person that was chairing it, turned around to me and said, Mark, do you realize how many messages you've just done? And I thought I'd done 10 or 15. And he said, no, he did 30. And I sort of like walked out there, swearing, how on earth did I do that? And then had a conversation with the guide, and it was a new guide, and it's the guide that I was talking about. Now, my previous guide, I couldn't have done that. My previous guide was actually, I was desperately trying to train up to work in churches. I'd only done about 5 or 6 church platform work up to that point, and I've been doing okay. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't in any way unhappy with what I had been doing. But the minute I started doing that, all of a sudden the churches were phoning me up, Mark, would you come and work for us? Whereas previously before that, I had been phoning up the churches, hello, can I come and work for you? And they're saying, who are you? So that was the difference that guide made to me. And that sort of catapulted me up to the point where I was able to go to America, to the point where I was able to seriously start launching the training company.
I have guides and that are at different levels.
Yeah.
And the ones I see more are the ones that are at the lower levels. And then I see them more rarely, the ones that are.
Yeah. And also remember, coming back to what we were talking about last week, different guides do different jobs. And different guides will also have more than one person that they're working with. So this mega guide that I've got, I know that he's working with other people. And if I ever get a chance to meet up with this other medium, she's in Scotland, so it should be possible if I take the time to go and see where she's working. But I strongly suspect if the two of us sat down and compared notes, we'd discover that we had the same guide. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Guides develop and they rise up. Now, I don't know whether they get paid. I don't know if it's brownie points. I don't know if it's them just developing muscles and able to do more. But it works because the living proof of it is what we've just said. You come into contact with different levels of spirit.
Yeah, you do. But I still want to know who makes the rules and who. I mean, is that God?
Okay.
The universe, universal power.
Okay, I don't think anybody makes a decision. I think rules are set down, and the rules.
By who? By who? Somebody had to have the rules set down. The rules, if there are rules. I don't think there are rules.
Maybe it's just, and I'm not. I believe in God. I am a Christian spiritualist, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Right.
Why? Why?
Why what?
Why did somebody have to set the rules?
Somebody always sets the rules. There are no rules without them being set.
Okay, what about the laws? Okay, let's step away from
the laws of nature. That's different.
No. I disagree. It's exactly the same.
Okay.
The laws. Let's call them the laws of spiritualism. They're not laws.
Okay.
They're how everything works. Let's just call it that. The spiritual realm is part of the universe. And let's not get into my debate about what the spiritual realm is. Let's just accept whatever your beliefs are, whether it's you die and go to heaven, whether it's you cross over into another dimension, whether it's you're on another frequency, doesn't matter. That's detail.
Right.
But the spiritual realm and the physical universe are part of the same great infinite cosmos, let's call it.
Okay.
Now,
So the spiritual realm then has all the animals and the plants and all the live things that have
yes,
died.
yes,
Okay.
I believe so. I believe anything that's alive
So
passes.
so human spirits interact with dinosaur spirits.
Yes,
Hope I
and
don't
I
get
also,
no.
I also believe that the spirits of other civilizations are out there as well.
Well, yes. Well,
So
so we're all in the same place. Is that what you're saying? All the entire universe, we all end up in the same place. Okay.
yes, but there's more than one universe. But let's not get into that conversation. But for our universe, yes,
Yeah. Okay.
spiritual realm, wherever it is, when we cross over to the next level, we're all part of the same universe. So, did somebody sit down and say that? I mean, for example, Einstein's law of relativity: the faster you go, the slower the flow of time. Now, that's been proven.
Yeah.
They've had planes that have flown around the Earth with digital clocks, one on the Earth, one on the plane, and they've proved that that is real.
Yeah.
So if you were able to travel at the speed of light, which is supposed to be the highest possible speed, you flew off to another star, you flew back, you would maybe only age a year or however many years it took you to get there. Whereas here on the Earth, depending on the gravity power, all your relations are dead, and you're
Right.
speaking to your great grandchildren.
Right.
Now, that's a physical law of the universe.
Yes, it is.
So that's what I think the laws in the spiritual realm are like. The universe works because weights drop, water is buoyant, gravity attracts. There are four. There are four what are called the small powers. Like gravity is one of them. Oh god, it's too late at night here in Scotland. I can't remember what the other three are, but it's all. Go speak to a physicist, and they'll write out formulas, theories, and all the rest of it, trying to work out the universal theory, which nobody's actually done yet. Although they
Yeah.
think they are getting closer with string theory, because I did read an article in the Scientific American recently that basically said that. Oh, we're going to get sidetracked, so let's leave that.
I was going to say we only have 7 minutes, Mark.
Yeah. So to answer your question, did somebody create the universal laws? I don't know. Did God? I mean, I actually cover this in the book that I'm writing. Did God create the universe, or did the universe create God? I actually think it's the universe that created God.
Yeah.
And is God controlling everything? I don't think so. I think we're all controlled by however you define the universal laws. So, I mean, this is not a law, but this is an example of what I'm talking about. Come back to Burt Reynolds, the example we did at the beginning. There's a saying that says it takes 10,000 hours to get to the top of your profession. So if you want to be an Olympic runner, you do whatever you do, exercise, races, competitions, study, whatever, it takes you 10,000 hours to get there. You want to be, I mean, for example, I was at Hip Fest, which is a very small festival of black and white films over the last weekend. We're actually going to do a video on the walks. Don't ask how we're doing a video festival as a walk, but that's going to be one of the videos coming up. Anyway, there were musicians there, and they were spectacular. I mean, an hour, every note was perfectly timed to the film we were watching. Now, those guys were flying in on jets from different countries, going around these festivals of films all over the world, because they were talking about, oh, we were at such and such a festival and all the rest of it. They were the top of their profession at what, very niche, but top of what they did. And 10,000 hours to get there, to be that good. So use the same definition for spirit. They have to do 10,000 hours of study, work, developing the muscles, developing the skills, and that's what takes them up. So to answer your question, who decided? They're all in competition. They're all trying to get a limited number of posts. The higher up they get, the fewer posts there are, the fewer of us there are to help. I mean,
you completely lost me there. You just completely lost me.
lost and
I was
disagree.
with you. Now I'm like, no, Mark, no, Mark. Anyone can evolve to that level,
But they don't.
but they can. There's not a
Okay.
limited number of spots.
Well, okay. Bring it back to the example I gave of that musical festival. There's only a limited number of spots of musicians to play at those festivals.
We're not
So
talking
only,
music. We're not talking the arts.
okay, how many? But there are an infinite number of jobs, but there are only a limited number of each type of job. So, for example, let's bring it back to us. How many mediums? How many people are there that are? I'm talking about us. I'm not talking about spirit.
Okay.
How many mediums are there or people are there that are willing to do, for example, our training course? We've got 3 levels of training course. Now, I'm not trying to advertise, I'm just giving this as an example.
Okay.
We've got the open circles that we talked about at the beginning. That's 2 very low level, non-high pressure that we charge $50 a month for. We've got the development circle, which is high pressure, but not make or break. You come at your own pace, which we charge 10 times more for. And then above that, we've got the 6 months development, become a professional medium. Now, the first question we ask, and we had somebody ask us, could I do the 6 months? And we said, how much spare time do you have a week, sorry. And she didn't have enough spare time to do the studying and the exercise and all the rest of it. And we said to her quite directly, we'll take the check if you want to do it, but we're telling you, you're going to waste your money.
You won't do it in 6 months.
Yeah, because you just won't be able to do it. So she went to the middle level. So how many people are there? And we're not the only people that teach mediums. And there are a limited number of schools that are credible, that have the ability, and I'm including churches here. So, there are churches that do training courses that, like I did here in Scotland, but even so, there's still only a limited number of churches. There's only a limited number of places in the circles. So they are selective in who they take in from their own congregation. So there are a limited number of credible mediums in, let's call it the anglicized world, because we don't have enough experience. I mean, in China, there are mediums in China, but they're so few and far. So let's just keep it to the world that we know. Canada, Australia, New Zealand, America, Scotland, England, Ireland, etc. There are a limited number of churches. There are a limited audience size. So it doesn't matter how many spirits there are that want to be mega guides. There's only a limited number of students for them to work with, or mediums for them to work with. So who gets to be my guide? Who gets to be your guide? Do they compete? Do they have some sort of system?
They get to choose.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there must be some level of matching people up.
Right.
There must be some sort of association of guides, for example, that says.
No, I don't. I'm not sure about that, because 2 of my guides are people I knew in life.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about your general guides. There are different levels of guides.
Yeah, those are the lower level ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm talking about the people that can take you. Like if one of my guides became one of your guides, you've had the training, so you would be able to get up on stage and do 50 messages. So what stops my guide from being your guide? Who allocates the guide to me? And I don't know. I don't know.
They decide. I think they decide. They don't. It's not allocated. They get to decide who they want to work with.
Yeah, but what if 3 of them all want to work with the same medium?
Well, you can have multiple guides.
Yeah, but only one of them would be your hand. Only one of them would be like going on stage with you. You'd have a healing medium, a business medium, you'd have a support medium, you'd have your friendly medium to, you can cry and put your head on their shoulder, whatever. But there are a limited number of really good mediums for them to work with. And because there's more people on the other side, I'm going to assume there's more guides than there are mediums, even if we've all got 5 or 6 guides.
Right.
Because there's only 8 billion of us, but there's been 108 billion people born and cross over.
That neglects reincarnation. So
yeah, okay, let's not get into that.
So let's not get into that.
The point is, how do they decide who they're going to work with? I don't know. Whether it's them negotiating, whether there's some sort of God that says you go there, whether there's some sort of association that says here's the conditions that you've got to meet, that the medium's got to meet, that you've got to meet. I don't know. But the point is, there is some sort of selection and allocation method. There has to be. Anyway, we're running out of time. We've had our usual non-agreement.
It's lively debate.
Right, so just run through our usual, in case you're watching. Bear with me for 2 seconds. Yeah, there we go. Let me click the right button. My mouse is having problems with my mouse. Right, if you want to come to our circle, go there. Scott Spirit Reigning. If you want, that's another thing that's going to be happening. We'll be posting the next couple of months events over the next week. So events are the conversations between myself and Devi, or myself and Devi's cat's bum. Walks in Scotland with Marc and Ying. That's my wife. Talking about that, I forgot to show you this at the beginning. We got another video that will be going up as an event. That's my wife, by the way. That's Ying. That's not a Knickerbocker Glory, but we're talking about Knickerbocker Glories. We're actually showing it in the video.
I want one of those. Looks good.
That's Dunbar Harbour. So basically, one of the videos we're doing, just to give you an example, it's myself and my wife walking around the town of Dunbar. So we've got a castle that dates back to the 6th century, a fort that dates back to the 19th, well, I can't remember, was it the 19th century that you were sending raiding ships over to attack our coasts for your War of Independence?
No, so, that was the 18th century.
Right. So we've got a fort from the 18th century, and we've got the John Muir Museum. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, who's John Muir? He's a Scottish boy who emigrated to America, who grew up to be a naturalist, and basically he's credited with the entire national park system. Yeah. So he comes from the town of Dunbar, and guess what? Included in the video, we're in the John Muir Museum. So it's a nice 35 minute, and I've been promising Devi for ages that we would do a castle, so she gets 2 castles in the one video. So, well, generally speaking, we've got 2 of those events a month, maybe 3. We've got Cards with Marc, which Devi's going to come and join me at, where we're doing card readings, but with 3 cameras. And what else have we got? We may be broadcasting one of the open circles. Not definite yet. We'll be selective. But instead of us sitting talking what we're doing, we're actually going to show people what we're doing. I'm sure there was something I missed there. Oh, yes. We haven't decided yet, but we are seriously thinking about doing graveyards. So graveyards in America, graveyards in Scotland, or wherever it is I'm traveling. So what we do is there's a monthly newsletter, register at that website, and it comes out at the beginning of every month, and it'll have all the dates of all the events for that month in it. As we said at the beginning, you can see these events on Facebook, but please register on YouTube, because there are videos after videos after videos. We've even got guided meditations, for example. We've even got training videos. There's more videos in that YouTube account than I can remember.
Yes, there are.
So that was what we was talking about there. That's what I was talking about there. That's what I was talking about there. These. Yes, that's the bit I was talking about. If you want to come to our new style open, free of charge for your first visit, that's the web link. So it's calendly.com. That's an event booker. Marc Stuart Medium /open-circle-workshop. I will post that in the text for the videos when we share it across our pages, and I'll go back and post it so that after the event you can go back and watch that. I think that's about it, and I'm out of breath.
I think that's it. I think you covered everything, believe it or not.
Yeah. Oh God, no! There was something else. We are thinking about changing the night that we're doing the broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
Blame Whitney for this. When she was supposed to be coming on to help us on the Tuesdays, it was a Wednesday. She said you couldn't do Wednesdays, so we changed it to Tuesday. And now that we're doing Tuesdays, she's changing her schedule, and she says that she can't do Tuesdays. So still to be confirmed, but we may be switching back to Wednesdays. So all the people that used to follow us on a Wednesday, you can now stop getting yourself tongue-twisted coming to the Tuesday, and all the people that have started following us on the Tuesday, you're going to have to switch to Wednesdays.
Plus, next week, we'll be an hour earlier, back to our regular time, because time changes in the UK.
Does that not mess things up again? Because I thought we were back to normal now.
Then we'll go back to normal. That's what I'm saying. We are not normal now. We're an hour later. So we'll go back to normal.
Right. Okay. Right.
Next.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that's about it, folks. It's been a pleasure browbeating Devi. It's been really nice not listening to her lawnmower. She got that fixed. You should have heard it before we went live. Other than that, well, thank you for your time and good night.
Good night. See you next week.